Hey everyone, Edgar here, the host of Snug Wrestling. If you're looking to unwind without the hangover, check out Good Fuels. These are THC infused seltzers made with all natural ingredients, clean, crisp, and consistent every time. It's an easy, balanced way to relax, hang out with friends, or just vibe without the drawbacks of alcohol. And because you listen to Snug Wrestling, we got an exclusive offer for all of our listeners, 20% off at shop.getgoodfuels.com when you use promo code SNUG at checkout. That's shop.getgoodfuels.com and you get 20% off with promo code SNUG at checkout. That's Good Fuels, real chill, no hangover, must be 21 and over.
Hey, this is your Olympic hero, Kurt Angle, and you're listening to Snug Wrestling. Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
NXT Revenge. That's what they're calling it this week, right? Is this supposed to be like a 2-week thing they said or something, Tommy?
Yep, this is a 2-week thing. Week 1 was this week, and then you've got next week as well.
Welcome, everybody. It is time for Snug Wrestling, and tonight, our NXT expert Tommy is here. My name is Edgar. I'm the host. We're going to be going over this week's NXT that was full of surprises. We had one crazy debut. Callie Armstrong from, what is she from, Evolve or LFG?
From Evolve, yeah.
That was pretty crazy. We're going to be going over that. We're going to be going over the direction that Joe Hendry is heading in after he lost his NXT championship. And also Lola Vice, too. She was in the main event, the new Women's NXT Championship. So we got some pretty interesting stuff to cover here today. Tommy, how are you feeling about NXT this week?
I am feeling good. We just wrapped up our predictions for WrestleMania Night 1, which will be coming out a little bit after this goes off air. So that was great. We've got NXT here, and NXT was, as usual, it was chaos galore. So that's not surprising at this point. It's just how NXT is. So let's get into it.
The opening match, Kelani Jordan versus Jaida Parker. This was a rematch. These two women wrestled each other last week, where Jaida Parker defeated Kelani Jordan, but this is NXT Revenge, so Kelani Jordan had the opportunity to do just that, and she did. Kelani Jordan defeated Jaida Parker in the opening match of NXT this week. They are 1-1 now. What did you think about that, Tommy?
I feel like this is either going to end up being a 3-match feud or it's going to end up being a 5-match feud. One of the two. But I do not see it going past 5. But overall, this match was pretty great. I had a feeling that Kelani Jordan was going to end up winning it simply because of the fact that Jaida Parker won their last one, which means, unfortunately, after WrestleMania, neither of these women are being called up, at least not right off the bat, in which I feel like both of them are ready for main roster, but let them go a little bit longer in NXT. But overall, it was great. I loved it.
So one of the matches that was advertised for tonight for this episode of NXT was the NXT Championship match, Tony D'Angelo versus Ethan Page. So we get a backstage segment with Ethan Page and Ricky Saints kind of trying to, I guess, work out the issues that they've been having the past couple weeks. They agree that, hey, we're going to help each other out. Tonight is Ethan's opportunity. So help me out, Ricky. And when I win NXT Championship, you will be the first to get a title shot, which Ricky Saints agrees. So it seems like everything is on the up and up here with Ethan and Ricky Saints. I thought this was very entertaining. It was a nice reminder, like, holy shit, Ethan Page is wrestling for the NXT Championship tonight. What did you think about the backstage segment?
It was a backstage segment. Yes, it seems like these two are, in fact, on the up and up here. But overall, we'll get to the actual match later. But they did not end up being fully on the up and up in that match. At least, sort of. But again, we'll get into that. But overall, we'll see where in the world this goes. I feel like at this point, the cracks are still there. And at some point, one has to turn on the other.
We had a Joe Hendry concert, Tommy. These are usually really entertaining. These are pretty good. Something always ends up happening when Joe Hendry goes out there. Last time it was Ricky Saints that interrupted Joe Hendry, and I believe Joe Hendry hit Ricky with the guitar or something like that. So Joe Hendry sings this song about what's next for Joe Hendry, basically, right? Is it over for Joe Hendry? Should he give up? Should he stop going for the NXT championship? And during the song, he kind of teased, or should I go to the, and then Keanu Carver comes out and interrupts Joe Hendry right when Joe Hendry was going to say the main roster, which is what a lot of us were thinking. Let's be honest. When is Joe Hendry going to go to the main roster, right? But I don't think it's going to happen just yet because Keanu Carver attacked Joe Hendry, made him bleed, and we're going to get a match between Joe Hendry versus Keanu Carver next week.
I'm honestly happy with that. Unfortunately, we are not getting Joe Hendry up to the main roster just yet. Even though a lot of people were confused when he fully debuted in NXT as like a signee instead of just with TNA on why he didn't come up to the main roster right off the bat, because main roster just fits him so well. Don't believe that. Look at WrestleMania from last year when he went up against Randy fucking Orton and how good that match was. So at that point, we are eventually getting Joe Hendry on the main roster. There's no doubt about it, but it's not quite yet. Maybe a little bit later, because we know Carmelo Hayes was called up, and then
Trick?
Yeah, and then Trick was like a little bit after, not right after, but it was like a little bit after Mania, so it still had some time in between. So we still got some time with that.
Yeah, and this could be Joe Hendry still going to the main roster. I mean, unless this turns into a really heated rivalry. I mean, they could just have a match next week and just be done with it. You know, that's also a possibility. Joe Hendry versus Keanu Carver. That's going to be interesting. For the sake of predictions, because I know we just got done doing predictions, Tommy. Who do you think is going to win next week between Keanu Carver and Joe Hendry?
Joe Hendry, and I think he gets called up after that.
All right, we'll see what happens. We had the big debut from Kelani Armstrong, and I say big because they have been teasing this debut for the past few weeks on NXT. I think they even played the video package during Stand and Deliver, if I'm not mistaken. So I've never seen this chick before. I'm like, okay, what's the big deal? They keep hyping her up in these video packages, and now I can see why. This girl is an absolute monster. God damn, she was intense. She was fast. She was strong. I don't even remember who she wrestled. I can't remember her name.
It was something Star.
No, not Star. No.
I thought that was her last
Damn
name.
it, now we have to look it up, Tommy. You're supposed to be my NXT expert. You're supposed to know.
I think it's another girl from like either Evolve or LFG. But
I think you're
cannot
right.
remember for the life of me what the hell her name is. For some reason, I think her last name is Star.
Skylar Ray.
Okay, that's what it was.
I should remember that because a fake Skylar Ray account tried to message us one time. But yeah, Skylar Ray got her licks in on Kelani Armstrong, even though Skylar was the much smaller opponent here. She didn't look half bad, Skylar Ray, in this match. But man, this was a really impressive debut. Like, I can't wait to see more of Kelani Armstrong.
I have not watched Evolve in a while, but I do know just from like the minimal stuff that I watched, because I watched it for like a month or so, that Kelani Armstrong is just that damn good. She's an absolute powerhouse in the ring. She is not someone to be fucked with, which is why in the main event, she was one of the women that came out during the credit. Not saying who won that, but still, she was one of the women who, in the credits, there was about 4 different women that came out. It was Zarya, it was Kendall Gray, it was her, and it was Izzy Dame that came out. There is a reason why she is one of those 4 that came out for that, because of the fact that she is an absolute powerhouse. So this debut was absolutely great for her.
Yeah, man, that spine buster she hit on poor old Skylar Ray, I was like, oh, god damn. That was a really good fucking spine buster. All right, at the top of the hour, we had the NXT Championship match. Surprisingly, I thought this would for sure be the main event, but they gave that spot
to it.
Yeah, they gave it to Lola Vice and Jacy Jayne later on, but we had Tony D'Angelo versus Ethan Page. I mean, after everything, Tony D'Angelo finally won. There was not any chance Ethan Page was going to win here, right? I mean, there's no way Tony D'Angelo. However, the match was really good, and it kind of showed Ethan Page's strength, his ability to fight back. Ethan Page looked really good because even after the beat down that Tony D'Angelo gave Ethan Page throughout most of this match, Ethan Page kept kicking out. He kept fighting back. There was a couple times where I thought, okay, this is over. But nope. Ethan Page is still in it. Holy shit, okay. It was a great fucking match. You had the little goofy gaga with Ricky Saints getting pulled out from under the ring by Shiloh Hill like a freaking animal. They had a really good table spot, but the table didn't give. It didn't break. It was a entertaining championship match. What did you think, Tommy?
Yeah, this one was extremely predictable there. There was no possible way that Tony D'Angelo was losing the NXT title. There just wasn't. So it had to be Tony D'Angelo for this win. But Ethan Page is clearly no slouch here. He gave it his all to get that NXT title back. Unfortunately, it did not go his way. But at the same time here, it worked out absolutely perfect. We also find out what in the world Shiloh Hill has been working on in the back, but we'll find that out later on when we talk about Tatum Paxley. So him ending up like wrapping Ricky Saints in rope and pulling him out. I'm like, what the hell? That is absolutely something that Undertaker would do out of nowhere. But overall, it was still one hell of a match.
Let's talk about it because I was not planning on bringing up the announcement of the casket match next week because Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe are going to be in a casket match. But first, before we get into that, yes, Shiloh Hill was working on it throughout the show. We also saw Shiloh Hill in that backstage segment with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page at the beginning of the show. But how did you feel about seeing Shiloh Hill being mixed up in this main event? It wasn't a goofy way, but still, Shiloh Hill is in that main championship title picture now with Ethan Page, with Ricky Saints, and with Tony D'Angelo.
After the ladder match that he had, it only works for him. He deserves, after everything that clearly he has shown he can pull off easily, that he's absolutely one of those names who should be up there, even though, yes, he did just get here, but at the same time, just being in that title picture is going to do a lot for him.
Yeah, so Tatum Paxley was just in the big cage match not that long ago versus Izzy Dame. Now she's in a casket match. And at first I was like, here we go again. But you know what? I really enjoyed that cage match that she had with Izzy Dame, so I'm hopeful. Blake Monroe is really good also. Maybe they can have a really good match. Maybe they can sell me on it. We will see next week. But yeah, it was announced. Tatum Paxley and Blake Monroe in a casket match. Tommy, what did you think about that announcement?
It's my girl, Tatum. I know that she's absolutely crazy at times, like AJ Lee level of crazy at times. So this type of match fits her so well. And her wording there, when she pulled this off, it fits because it's nothing but fact here. Blake Monroe has basically called herself champion this entire time ever since her first match with Tatum Paxley, and she lost. She ended up even getting her own custom North American title just because she wants to call herself champion. So at this point, it fits, and her wording of I want to bring Blake Monroe down to hell, and then all of a sudden Shiloh Hill comes out with the casket, it works, and I absolutely.
All right, if you say so, Tommy. Well, something that I absolutely loved from this episode of NXT was the segment with the North American champion Miles Bourne and the Dark State, right? So the Dark State and Miles Bourne have been attacking each other for the past couple of weeks since Stand and Deliver, because Dion Lennox, he wants to bring gold to Dark State, right? He wants to put more credibility back on his faction. But good old Saquon Sugars, I believe his name is, he hasn't really been liking this game plan Dion Lennox has been having, because he feels like, oh, you're just looking out for yourself. You know, instead of you should be focusing on us, what happened to the team, what happened to Dark State. You're being really selfish. And Sugars, I really like him a lot, man. He's real. Like, I can believe what he's saying. He's not, doesn't feel like he's, reading a script or whatever. So I'm kind of feeling what Sugars is saying here when it comes to Dion Lennox, when it comes to the Dark State. So Sugars is like, hey, let's just go after this fool, Miles Bourne. Let's just take him out. Dion is like, no, I'm trying to get a title shot. And Sugars basically says, man, fuck this. He rushes Miles Bourne. That backfires. And the Dark State back off, right? But I'm interested to see what's going to happen now with Sugars. Are they going to have more issues? Is he going to leave the Dark State? Is he going to turn on Dion? But they're starting to put more attention on Sugars, because I think he's really good, man. I want to see more of this. I thought this was dope.
Well, we ended up getting more information in a backstage segment that happens later on in the show with just the Dark State of Dion Lennox and Sugars end up like arguing a little bit. And he just goes, dude, that title is the future of this faction. We need that North American title. It just needs to happen. And Sugars ends up coming around to it. He's like, yeah, you're right on that. So it's very clear that it does need to happen at some point. But I still love the fact that Miles Bourne messed with the Dark State a little bit, going, hey, Dion Lennox, as their leader, you have a decision to make. So he knows exactly how to get under Dark State's skin. But I'm telling you, this is the Judgment Day all over again. It really is. Because I will remind you, Judgment Day's original thing with like the core members were that there were no leaders in the Judgment Day. And now the Dark State is saying the exact same thing. So it kind of seems like they're almost one and the same.
Very interesting. And then we had a speed match. That happened, Tommy. Any thoughts on that?
Not really. It's a speed match between an NXT guy and a random Evolve guy. So
is he from Evolve? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw him in AAA a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but he is in fact mainly from Evolve. That's just what happened. It's another match that was exactly like last week.
All right. The main event, Lola Vice versus Jacy Jayne. Lola Vice, the new NXT Women's Champion, versus the former champion Jacy Jayne. And even with the help of Jacy Jayne's friends, the what are they? The Fatal Attraction?
Fatal Influence.
Oh, Fatal Influence. They were ringside trying to help Jacy Jayne as hard as they can, but they were still not able to get the job done. Again, Lola Vice just won the damn thing, and even though it's Jacy Jayne, two-time former NXT champion, there is no way Lola Vice was going to lose in the main event just 2 weeks after she won it. So Lola Vice retained, and a lot of people, I've been seeing the rumors, I've been seeing the talks online after the show, Tommy. A lot of fans, a lot of people believe that Jacy Jayne is headed to the main roster.
Wouldn't be surprised on that, but the main question is, if Jacy Jayne goes up, what happens to Fatal Influence? Because overall, those two aren't exactly wrestling that much anymore. They were towards the beginning of the film, but now it's mainly been Jacy Jayne wrestling through it. I would love to see Jacy up in the main roster, but I would kind of like Fatal Influence to split up before that happens. So that's my main thing. But Lola Vice getting the win here, it works because it's the only option. It really is. There was no possible way that 2 weeks after that, especially making it such a big deal that she is the first Cuban-American women's NXT champion. So making that such a big deal and then having her drop it 2 weeks later, that just wasn't going to happen. So Lola going for that is great. Fatal Influence getting attacked right after the match. I found that funny knowing who it was because it was the debuting girl that I've already forgotten the name of.
Callie Armstrong, I think.
Yes, Armstrong. Armstrong literally attacked Fatal Influence right after that and then jumped onto the apron to face off with Lola Vice. And then all of a sudden we see Kendall. And then we see Izzy. And then Zarya comes out. So it's very clear that Armstrong is absolutely going straight for the top. And I would not mind a match between her and Lola Vice. I really would.
Yeah, that was crazy, dude. I'm like, holy shit. This girl just got here and she's already up there with the top women on NXT. Like, not even Kendall Gray did that. You know, she's really good. But I mean, I'm really liking the women's division on NXT, man. That shit that's shaping up to be a really, title division. I kind of feel bad for Lola, man. She's got her hands full. That's gonna be dope to see where Lola Vice's NXT championship is heading to next. It's gonna be good.
But first, we need to figure out if Zarya is going after it or is Soul going after it again. Because right after Zarya comes out, Soul attacks her. So that's mainly to hype up next week where they've got their last woman standing match. So I think that should be interesting as well to see which one of them comes out on top.
God, please don't let it be Soul. It was going so good, man. I'm like, oh, Izzy. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Armstrong. Whoa. Who else? Zarya and Kendall. Oh, damn. And then here comes Soul to ruin the party like always. God damn.
You are not giving Soul Ruka enough credit, bro. You're really not.
Nah, bro. Zarya is too good to be messing around with buffoons like Soul. She needs to go get that gold. That's what I think. But yeah, man, that was NXT. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's gonna happen next week with we got Keanu Carver next week versus Joe Hendry. What else we got, Tommy?
We've got that last man standing match that I mentioned. We've got
casket.
Blake Monroe versus Tatum Paxley in that casket match. And then I cannot remember the rest.
Well, that's good enough. We'll see what happens next week. Let's get out of here, Tommy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our review of week 1 of NXT Revenge. You can catch Thursday, tomorrow, in which that will be Snug and Blood, along with a special guest as well, predicting night 2 of WrestleMania. We already did night 1 just moments before this went live. So, with that as well, you've got Friday Night SmackDown, and we are also doing each night of WrestleMania, both Saturday and Sunday. You can also catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. Get your merch. That will be at teepublic.com/snug_wrestling. I repeat, that is teepublic.com/snug_wrestling. That was one time for the one time. 4 letters. 1 word.